Greetings, Andy here again. A quick video and a real impromptu one. On this video, I'm running down my favourite top 12 all-time singers, running down from 12 to 1. And I confess this is pure plagiarism. So Pete Pardo of Sea and Tranquility during August has been doing a sort of rundown of his favourite singers, starting at number 31 and then finishing at number one a day. I'm obviously, this is a quick run through, so I'm just picking 12. I originally thought of 10, but there were ones then I really didn't want to leave out, and I have knocked a few out, which on another day I might have included. I've also tied one hand behind my back by saying, right, I'm choosing these from my vinyl collection. So for example, I obviously have quite a lot of great singers on CD. An example is Nina Simone would have been in this list, but I don't have any vinyl with her. I do have a sort of compilation CD, which is fabulous, but and there are way too few women in here, but it's just the way it came out. So on another day the order would be different. On another day I might have swapped one or two around. But this was a quick brainstorm, and I'm going to run through very quickly and just show one vinyl record that I have. Sometimes have several, but one I'm particularly fond of, which represent that singer. And I'm kicking off with Guy Garvey, number 12, the singer of Elbow. And this record I'm showing here is a best of. I do have 2 or 3 of their studio albums on vinyl, but mostly, I mean, they produce lots, most of them on CD. So this is a great triple album. It's got particularly all their early stuff, really good records. Guy, I've been listening to him for the last nearly 25 years. Since sort of 2001, really, when I think the first record came out, he's got such a lovely, languid sort of Lancashire voice. Great frontman, and I think it's important here is that, obviously I've got to like their voice, I've got to like their tone of voice, their singing style, and so on. But bonus points for being a great frontman, because a lot of singers of bands are great frontmen, and Guy is one of those. He's absolutely engages with the audience brilliantly. Lovely voice, and I've seen him several times. So that's my number 12 is Guy Garvey of Elbow. Moving on to number 11, and we go with Rod, when he was a god, Rod Stewart. This is a compilation I do have on vinyl. Every Picture Tells a Story, but I just can't find it. So obviously I've mislaid it, put it somewhere. I picked this compilation up a few, I don't know, a year or two back, in a record fair. I sort of went back and bought some of the early Faces stuff and early Rod on CD, but this is the only one I can find. But it's a great best of. It's all the early stuff: Maggie May, Handbags and Glad Rags, great ones. It does sort of end on the last one. It just moves into when he starts getting a bit more of the crooner style. He was, in his day, early on, I think, possibly the finest British blues singers, and his collaboration with Python Lee Jackson on I can't remember what it's called. You know what I mean? I've forgotten. It was absolutely magnificent. Great voice, great guitar, brilliant record. In a Broken Dream, I remembered. So number 11 is Rod. And coming in at number 10 is Elton. So from much the same era, and this album is the magnificent Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Elton, another great showman. It's pop, but it's pop of the absolute highest standards. I saw him, I don't know whether it was 73 or 74, but I think this came out in 73, but I think he toured it, maybe it was 74, can't remember. But I saw him then. My girlfriend at the time really wanted to go, and I wasn't really, even though I quite liked the album, I wasn't really expecting that much. And it remains one of the best concerts I've ever been to. It was that good. He's such a great showman, great voice, great songs. and obviously in this era with the Bernie Taupin's lyrics. So coming in at number 10 is Elton. And coming in at number 9 is possibly the greatest frontman of my lifetime. And of course, I'm talking about Freddie Mercury of Queen. And this album is one I had. I mean, this is one I rebought. So this isn't an original, I don't think. But I did actually have it originally when it was released in, when was it, 75? I think, round then anyway. And it's just got lost somewhere on life's journey. So I sort of picked it up again at, again, I think it was a record fair. Of course, Bohemian Rhapsody and you know, it's Freddie, great voice, great singer, and possibly the greatest showman, as I say, of my lifetime. So that was number 9, I think. Let me have a look. I've lost my notes on the screen. Hang on. Yeah, that was number 9. And coming in at number 8. So one trend on here is, you know, to be the greatest, I have to have listened to them for a long time. So there aren't any sort of like really, really recent singers, you know, where I think that they've produced an album and it's absolutely brilliant, or even 2 or 3 over the last 5 or 6 years. You know, these are all ones which have lasted the test of time. And along with that is Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. Now, I actually saw the Aqualung, my favourite album of theirs, which came out in 71, was it, or 2? Again, I can't remember. I should have looked all that up. But anyway, I saw them. I'm not sure when it was. It was in the OOs, and his voice had really gone. It was pretty dreadful, to be honest. But then it was magnificent, and you know, such a unique style. Again, a showman, a frontman, and you know, theatricality, but great songs, really well sung. So my number 8 is Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. And now we come to the first female. Really haven't had enough, and it is the wonderful Kate Bush. Now, you know, Kate's voice is absolutely magnificent. Again, great songs, clever lyrics, you know, and, you know, let's be honest, I have had a crush and seriously fancied Kate for the last 50 odd, getting on for 50 years, 45 years or something. She when she first sung Wuthering Heights, she was 19. I was about 20 or 21. So, and I fell in love with her then, and it's never gone away. Every time I see her, I think she's one of the most beautiful women in the world, as well as having a wonderful voice. So there you go. And this, of course, is Hounds of Love. I've got 2 or 3 of her vinyl records. But Kate Bush, number 7. Coming in at number 6 is Wayne Coyne of the Flaming Lips. Now, Wayne doesn't have a conventionally exceptional singing voice. It's quite wonky. At times, it's slightly out of tune, but I love it. And he is, again, the consummate showman, the consummate frontman, the consummate engagement with the audience. Again, I've been listening to that since since Sheeny Battles of Pink Robots came out. I know they'd had lots of albums before that, but this is when I sort of discovered them and have been watching and listening and you know, have been to see them several times in the years since. Particularly fond of this. So this was when a live album. It's only released this year or maybe last year, I can't remember, from the original tour of it in the early 2003. They toured it in the UK, and I went to see them. So with my wife Marion, it was our first concert together in February 2003, I think. And a bit before it, towards the end of January, they played at the Forum in London, and which is where this was recorded. So you know, this is a very precious live album for me, because it sort of captures, even though it's not the concert I went to, it's the tour. And of course, this one is very resplendent on pink, appropriately. there we have the slightly wonky vocals of Wayne Coyne, which I really like. So now we're coming into the top 5. And at number 5, I'm going with John Anderson. And you'll say, well, John Anderson of Yes. Yes, indeed. And as much as, you know, all those albums from, I was going to say all those Yes albums, there's only one of those, all those Yes records, which, you know, great vocals from John on there. But I always think of them as much, if not more, around the musicality of them. But in some ways, in terms of his singing and singing songs, my favourite album he's been on is with Vangelis, and it's John and Vangelis, The Friends of Mr. Cairo, which came out in, I think, 81, very early 80s. So, you know, this is just fabulous state of independence. I love it. I love all the Yes records as well. You know, he's got a great voice. He's one of the great prog vocalists. Though I have 2 more on my list. As is the next one, number 4, Greg Lake, and of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and before that, King Crimson on their first album. This is possibly my favourite, or fondest, shall we say, ELP album, Tarkus, and it obviously Greg sings on it. He also produced it, so he was a clever guy. He also plays not only bass guitar but lead guitar on it. He's a very, very, very good musician, and I think he had a wonderful voice. And out of all the prog vocalists, in terms of his voice, I think he had the best of them, in my humble opinion. So that's number 4, Greg Lake. And we move from Greg to the voice of an angel, number 3, and that is Jeff Buckley. No, here we're not talking about frontman or showman or anything like that. We're talking about, out of all the male artists, possibly that I think of, has the best singing voice, just superb singing. Sadly, we've just really got the one album. I know there are various compilations and live and stuff put together since, but we lost him too early in that boating accident, silly boy. So we only have this, to remember him by, essentially. And it is a wonderful album with some of the best singing I've ever heard. So number 3, Jeff Buckley. And number 2, despite saying I think Greg Lake is the best prog vocalist, my favourite, though, is Peter Gabriel. So coming in at number 2 is Peter Gabriel, obviously Genesis originally, and, since he left Genesis in whenever it was, 77-ish, a solo artist, absolutely produced loads and loads of superb albums. I love his voice. But it's the showmanship as well. So it's a combination of those two things. I don't think he's as good a singer, vocally as either Greg Lake or John Anderson. But in terms of the works, his body of work that he's sung on, then I think he's the one who is up there. So that's my number 2, Peter Gabriel. And number 1, and it's another woman, and she is Beth Gibbons from Portishead. Absolutely, again, like Jeff Buckley, an absolutely superb voice. So she's not really the sort of front man, but she is a consummate singer, and out of all the female singers, she is my favourite. And obviously Portishead Dummy, as I say, she's recently in the last few months produced a solo album which is equally brilliant. Well, it's not quite as good as this, but it is very, very good. So there you go. That's my quick rundown. People will not agree with me. Everyone has their favourites. This is just my opinion. On one day, the core of these won't change that much. But there could be times when I think, I almost put, because I thought I needed more women in there, I almost put Sonia Christina, from Curved Air. She was another beautiful woman that I fancied when I was a kid, but she was an older woman. Noddy Holder, old leather lungs. I sort of would like to put him in there, and there were lots of other ones which I might well have gone with. But that's it. My top 12 singers of all time as of right now. So thanks for watching. Cheers.